Hello everybody, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new album by Squid, Monolith. Now, Squid is a British post-punk art rock band which have pretty much released their first album in 2021. They also released an EP a little while back, not too long ago, but Squid's pretty much a newish band to the scene, especially in this new post-punk wave that bands like Shame have been a part of. And yeah, it's definitely interesting to say the least. I think, if anything, I can draw some similarities to bands like Shame, especially with the latest album of theirs, Food for Worms, which I reviewed back in February. I just think the vocals sort of remind me of it, especially in the track Devil's Den, which honestly is one of the strongest songs. I think this one is just one that just showcases some of the more zany experimental rock ideas which they explore a lot more than Shame do. Shame kind of wanna remain in this sort of post-punk sound, whereas Squid's pretty much adapted into quite a significant sound than the previous album of theirs. So I'm already a bit more invested into this second album of theirs. I think there's a lot more genius ideas, and I think they've just explored something that definitely fits well within their sound. And one thing I like is that they are progressing a bit more with this, as you have longer passages of instrumentals and sort of a less post-punk sound as they have embellished upon. The band is definitely going for some of the more progressive tracks like Undergrowth and The Blades, which, while aren't the longest songs they have ever done, and they have done some longer songs on the previous album, like Narrator and Pamphlets, I feel this direction just has a bit more punch to it. It has a bit more flavour, from the raised vocals to something like as simple as the drum beat under the guitars. It feels like there's a little bit more depth onto this record. And even the build up to just louder point in The Blades, where it just starts to build up all that energy, was something I wasn't expecting, and it just shows the band can be very spontaneous, and especially then it just hits into a more quiet moment right after, which definitely can showcase the change in pitch, the change in energy, and I'm quite in for rides like that. It's pretty fun and exhilarating. I even liked After the Flash, the way it starts more quiet and collected with a slower groove, which just connects perfectly from The Blades, as the ending is sort of a bit more slower and moodier, which I like. Even like when the song kind of shifts tone in After the Flash, where around the midway point the song stops for an airy, eerie sound, giving it kind of a new spin when the vocals occur, especially as it declines into a spiral of madness. Going back to my point on it being quite zany experimental, this one definitely has moments of that scattered throughout this record. Even the new wave of post-punk, it's not really my favourite, but I just love the kind of flow it has between the longer tracks. Like songs like Green Light is a type of song I enjoy, as it not necessarily proggy, and I'm fine if they want to kind of put in some of their more progressive songs, but I'm not like too big on like punk bands doing longer songs necessarily. So stuff like Green Light is honestly quite an enjoyable track in my opinion, because it kind of delivers the classic sound of Squid, as well as something I think Squid fans and non-Squid fans can enjoy. So it's a bit more of an accessible track if you're not really into the more longer progressive punk songs out there. If you had seen the Bulls' swimming attempts, you would have stayed away. It has a great blend of bass and guitars to close the record off, ending with the outro that repeats the continuous flow. It sort of reminds me of earlier prog rock acts like Magma, which I just absolutely enjoy some of the inspirations that the Squid have taken along for the ride to incorporate into this new album, and it's honestly just makes this one stand out a lot more than the first one in my opinion. I wasn't big on the first one, I couldn't really get into it as much, and the EP was something I just kind of dabbled in once and didn't really go back into, but there's definitely left opportunities for the band, and the way that they're going definitely gives them a whole new direction to follow, and some crazy ideas that I think definitely makes this band very unique into the post-punk scene, which, especially the new wave of it as well. It's honestly more of a preferred direction for me. I definitely think this is their best album to this point. I'm not crazy invested, as I didn't really like Siphon's song as much. This one was fine, but I think it was just sort of the vocals, just sort of the way the instrumental sounded. It just necessarily didn't feel as strong. Although I have seen a lot of people enjoy this one, so it's nice that they can pretty much have a bit of something for everyone. Even songs like that I'm not a big fan of, a lot of people do like as well. It's a pretty good album, not one I'm crazy on, as I don't think it's necessarily as good as Shame Food for Worms, if I'm going back to that comparison of the new wave post-punk bands, but it holds up nicely. It's still a good listen. It's not a crazy good listen in my opinion, but it's a good listen nonetheless. I feel comfortable giving it a 3 out of 5. It's still an album I'd recommend. It's just, out of all the separate reviews I did, minus Slipknot's EP, The Adderall, this one's probably the lowest I've given this album so far, but we've just had a lot of good albums 2023, at least in my opinion, and I don't think that's going to end anytime soon. I hope not, at least, because I'm quite enjoying these, and if something was to just break this chain of good albums, it would kind of suck, but I'm again not surprised if something does. This is a pretty decent album, and a pretty good second album as well. It definitely tops the debut in my opinion, which I wasn't really a fan of, so I quite like that. Anyway, that is my review. I hope you guys enjoy, and see you guys in the next video.